Hey everyone, welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know we are an entertainment-based podcast show where we talk with directors, filmmakers, actors, actresses, you name it, they all come here and we all have a conversation with them. But I'm very excited about my next guest. He is based in Houston, Texas. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a director, he's a producer, he does it all. You might have seen him on an episode of Stranger Things on Netflix. How super cool is that? But I'm very excited to be learning about his story and more about his work. Everyone, please give a super warm welcome to Joe Grisaffi. Hi, Joe.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited about the Stranger Things mention, but just to be sure, the season's not out yet.
Ooh, oh, the season's not yet. Yes, they did drop the trailer today, so that's super exciting.
I am thrilled to death about that.
Oh my gosh, that is super cool. I'm actually a little jealous, but Mr. Joe, I'm gonna go ahead and fire the first question at you. What began your passion for acting and directing?
When I was a kid, I really enjoyed storytelling. I was a shy kid, but I still enjoyed creative writing in elementary school. Stuck out is my friends and my teacher praising a Halloween story I wrote. And I don't remember the title, and I wish I had it. I saved a lot of my school stuff, but I don't have the story. But it was a Halloween story that involved two kids hanging out at a haunted house they didn't know was haunted, and there was a witch and a giant spider that chased them through the neighborhood, and the witch finally caught them. And that's the earliest I remember being able to tell a coherent story with a beginning, middle, and end. And again, in elementary school, I remember when we studied Edgar Allan Poe. To this day, I remember those lessons that our teacher taught us, and how Edgar Allan Poe would start at the end of the story and spiral it backwards to the beginning as he wrote. Those things stuck with me. And as I grew older, I carried a video camera around a lot in high school. And in college, I finally got the bug to try to make this a career, telling stories, acting and directing.
Absolutely. I love that. And Mr. Joe, I have to say, I was reading about your work, and what I would love reading about it is they call you, correct me if I'm wrong, the Texas Wes Anderson. Kind of have the same quality, like, directing style. I have to say I love that because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan, been obsessed, for many, many years. But that brings me to the number two, as a director, what type of stories do you like to tell, and what do you think about the comparisons?
I'm very flattered by the comparison. It's a nickname some people have given me. It's a challenge, it's a challenge to live up to it. Wes Anderson is a really respected, a really talented director, and I love his stuff. And it's very flattering to even be in the same sentence with him. So yeah, that's very flattering, but it also is a hard image to. It was a challenge to meet that nickname. No, I'm flattered that that's some people have given me that nickname. As far as the stories I like to tell, I should say some of my favorite movies are Creep Show, the Stephen King, George Romero collaboration.
That's a good one.
I love quotable horror films, and that's something that's missing these days.
Yes.
And Babe, the pig movie, is one of my favorites. The Naked Gun is my absolute favorite movie ever. The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen, I should say. I like underdog stories.
Me too.
Babe is clearly an underdog story. Bad News Bears, the original. And I like stories that make you feel good. I also like stories that scare you. So I like to, the medium is is made to evoke an emotion. And if you're not evoking some kind of emotion, you're not telling a story properly. But yeah, I love underdog stories, and I love make people laugh, because that's one of the hardest things to do, is to make someone laugh. And I love to make people uncomfortable in a scary situation, not like, oh, this is really awkward, uncomfortable, but that could be effective too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to agree. Like, I love the good old classic horror films as well. I think one of mine still to this day still hasn't been topped is Silence of the Lamb. I'm sorry, until I can get a performance like like the great Anthony Hopkins, unless someone can give me a performance like that, it's hard to find a good scary movie that I like. And I do like the underdog stories as well. I consider myself an underdog, so I can't help but gravitate to those type of stories, because I like to see the underdogs win. I like to see the quirky people win. I do.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about the Bad News Bears is the underdogs don't win. If you remember the movie, they made it to the championship, which was a victory in itself, but they lost the championship. Rocky is one, but it still gives you hope that there's tomorrow. You got to keep working at it. If you're an underdog, you have challenges you have to face, and you don't always win the first time.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and that's the true value stories of underdog stories. Yes, sometimes you don't always win, but I think the better message is the effort that you put in. As long as you put in that effort, win or lose, you still did your best.
It's how you played the game.
It's how you play the game. All right, going on to my number 3, Mr. Joe, of course, as I mentioned earlier, you are starring in an episode of Stranger Things. I cannot help but mention and ask if you can give just a little bit of dish. I know you can't give too much because the episode hasn't come out yet, but can you give a little dish about maybe your character and what's gonna happen, what's gonna go down? Just a little dish.
I don't know if I'm allowed to. It was such an important day for me, and I want to play by the rules and not give away what I know yet, and because I would love that casting director to call me back.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't want to spoil anything.
I get you.
I have now. I do like to be realistic about these things, and it is a co-starring role, but it's one scene, and from what I know, it's an important transitional scene, and the character we're talking about in the scene is the catalyst for perhaps the whole season. I think that's all I can say.
Oh, but hey, that's exciting though.
Oh, that's
super exciting. One scene, hey, I would still be happy with just one scene. Look, to be able to be any part of that incredible show is exciting.
No kidding. I'm a fan of the show. It's probably the only job I've worked on where I have actually seen everything there is to see before getting the role.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just, when it happened, it was so surreal, because it was last year when everything was still kind of locked down.
Right.
And, there was no in-person audition. It was a video audition that was uploaded. I auditioned for 3 roles. And then a week later got an audition request for the role I actually got. There was
awesome.
There was no callback. There was not even a Zoom meeting with anybody. It was, hey, you're on your number 1 consideration. Then you're on hold. Okay, when can you go on this date? Can you get to Atlanta? And I said, yeah, of course. I'm going to do everything I can to make this work. But it was so surreal because the only person I talked to about it was my agent. It was like, okay, this could be yanked from under me at any moment. Until I finally got there, and it's like, okay, this is actually real. That was the feeling.
Right.
Because, before the pandemic, before the lockdown, you auditioned in person mostly.
Mm-hmm.
You could send a video audition. I had callbacks pre-pandemic over Zoom, which makes sense, but it was there was more engagement with the directors and producers.
Mm-hmm.
So this was all, as you probably can tell, it was very surreal how it
Well,
all.
absolutely.
I'm just so grateful uh, for it. And when
Ah,
it's I read the scene, I do the audition. It's one scene. I'm thrilled no matter what. If it was
of
one,
course.
if it was one line, I would still be on the moon about it. When I got the contract, it said co-starring, and I was just like, "What? This is awesome!"
I feel honored that I can say I interviewed somebody that was part of Stranger Things. That's an honor for me. Hey,
Yeah, and of
hey,
course
that's exciting.
it is, and I don't want to lose that excitement.
Of course not.
It
Of
was,
course not. But the
it was,
excitement is still building. I cannot wait, especially when the trailer hit, because I just recently saw the trailer, so I cannot wait to see your scene. I really can't wait to say, hey, guess what? I interviewed that guy right there. Yeah, he was on my show.
and I'm the, you're the, this is the first time I'm mentioning it publicly. So this is fun to actually finally get to talk about it, even though I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. But there's, the actor in me is like, okay, it seems like an important scene. Oh, what if I get cut out? I'm starting to tell the world, but what if I'm not actually in it? It's that, oh, it's getting closer. It's getting closer.
Right. Like I said, saw the trailer. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. All right, going on to number 4 question now, Mr. Joe. I'm really curious. Name 3 people who influenced your career.
That is a good question, because it's, when I watch my work, I can see influences.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really sat down and thought, okay, who do I aspire to be? You talk to other filmmakers, they want to be Scorsese, they want to be Spielberg. And I said, I just want to tell good stories. But then when I can tell, clearly, the Zucker brothers and Abraham from Airplane fame have had a big influence on my storytelling or my comedy style. I'm a big fan of everything they've done, and with The Naked Gun being my favorite film, and they're all 3 producers and directors on it. They are creatively probably the biggest influence on me. I have to send some love to my parents, because they never told me I could not do this.
Oh, that's awesome.
You talk to other people, you meet actors, and their parents say, oh, you need to go be a doctor or a lawyer. You need a real job. My parents never said no. They have supported me through this whole journey, which has been a huge influence, because that makes me share that support with other actors, other new actors. When someone comes to me and I say, you know what, you can do this. It's hard, but you can do it. Don't let anyone tell you no.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, those, as far as influence goes, those are pretty big.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, always give shout out to the parents. I love it when parents support the dream and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
That just gives you that extra oomph that I can do this. I got my parents
Yeah.
behind me. They believe in me. I know I can do this. I love that.
I'll
I
tell
love
you,
that.
the most important thing my parents said to me, when I made my first film, they were supportive. They didn't quite understand. My first film, Laughing Boy, back in the 90s, they didn't quite understand what I was doing. And when we shot on 16 millimeter film, and the screen ratio isn't the same as what they're used to when they watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought, okay, that's kind of fun. And, they asked questions like, oh, how did you find the actors? And how did you get them to sign up? And just questions you're like, well, there's a process. But when they watched my second film, Dead of Night, I think that's when they realized, oh, Joe actually knows what he's doing. Because the most important thing they said to me was, that looks like a real movie.
Oh, yes.
After they came to the theater and saw it, and they saw it with a sold out crowd, and they said, Joe, that looks like a real movie.
Yes.
It was so incredibly validating.
Of course.
Because you see film, you see people try this and you watch their stuff, and some amateurs or new people, when they try to make a film, it does not look like a movie.
Right.
But when they said, yeah, this looked like a movie, it's like,
Oh,
then okay, great. I know this, but the validation was so important.
oh my gosh. I've never directed, but even that validation just hit my heart right there. That's awesome. I mean, can you get a better, more authentic comment than that? Appreciation, praise.
No,
I
because that's completely honest.
Yes,
They
it
could say,
is.
"Good, you did a good job." And
Right.
you tell that to people because you want to be nice. But when you know your parents, and they look at you and say, that looked like the real deal.
That is, you
It
can't get any
really
better than
was
that.
genuine.
Oh, that is awesome. Joe, I want to make sure my audience keeps up with you and your work. And of course, I want to make sure as we get closer, of course, to that episode for Stranger Things, that they know where to go. I want to know, where are you on social media?
All of my social media is at Joe Grisaffi, JoeGrisaffi. That's one Sam and two Franks. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Joe Grisaffi.
And of course, you guys make sure you follow him because, again, he's going to be on that Stranger Things episode. If we want to brag that, hey, I heard that guy in the podcast show, yes, make sure you check out his social media so you guys can check out his other work and keep up to date when that episode will drop. So, super excited. All right.
I still can't believe the words come out of my mouth. I got to work on Stranger Things.
This is awesome. Uh, so I know, as going on to the number 6 question, I know you got the Stranger Things going on, but is there any other future projects you are currently working on right now that you can give a dish about to the J Lounge audience?
Yeah, I am attached to a fun horror film called Death Bike, about
Ooh.
a cyclist who's going around killing people. And it's tongue in cheek. It's funny. The original script had a lot of political undertones. I don't know if that's going to remain, because some of those issues have passed. But the director is my friend Dwight Yarotsky, and I'm really looking forward to getting involved with that, starting to shoot that in the spring.
Ooh.
And this is a finished film, but it hasn't been released yet. My friend Marcus Vasquez, a director, produced and directed a Batman fan film in
Oh.
which I got to play the Joker. And I
Ah,
tell you, I had the time of my life with that. And I am so anxious for that to come out. It should be before the end of the year.
ooh. That, oh my gosh, that is exciting. Anything having to do with Batman, I can get with. I mean, been a Batman fan for years. My older brother is a huge, dedicated Batman fan.
Me
I
too.
mean, oh my goodness, to the point, oh my gosh, he might actually kill me for saying this, but this is okay. To the point he actually has a Batman onesie. So that's
Ah,
how deep the dedication goes, okay? And Mr. Joe, that stays between us, all right? That stays
right.
between us.
And your audience now, of course. No, I grew up watching reruns of the 60s Batman, and
Oh,
I adore that show. And the 66 Batmobile is my favorite movie TV car of all time. And in 88, right before the Michael Keaton Batman came out, I started collecting Batman stuff. So I've been collecting Batman toys for a good part of 30 years now. And the
that's
Joker was,
awesome.
when I started acting, I always just had this fantasy in the back of my mind that one day I'm going to be asked to play the Joker, and I do photo shoots, kind of crazy. And when Marcus asked me, he had no idea how excited I was going to be, and that he made a dream come true.
Oh my gosh. How
And
exciting.
it was very exciting, but it's also very nerve wracking, because that's a beloved character.
Of course.
And I know hundreds of thousands of eyes could possibly watch that film, and I'm going to be scrutinized because it's such a rabid fan base.
Yeah,
But you got to have some haters, I guess, to keep you going. So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing what people have to say about it.
Look, Joe, if you got some haters, you're doing something right. Okay, isn't that the old saying? Isn't that
Yeah, it
the
is.
saying?
That is.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. That's exciting. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, so people, if that comes out, yes, I definitely will brag about that too. Like, yep, you see that guy that's playing the Joker? Yep, he was on my show. So I'm definitely gonna brag about you, Joe. Just gonna put it out there right now. I'm definitely gonna brag about you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. So we just got 4 more questions for you. Going on to the number 7, what are some of your passions outside of acting and directing?
Oh boy, there's quite a few. I am an avid video game collector,
Ooh,
home stuff and arcade stuff. I have a video game collection that goes back to pre-Atari, you know, 75, 76, 1975, 1976 is some of my oldest stuff.
mm-hmm.
And I collect arcade games, the uprights that take quarters, and pinball machines.
Pinball machines. That I love pinball machines. That's gonna be like one of my goals. I know if I totally made it, if I have a pinball machine in my home, I know I successfully made it. I love those. I can spend hours on those. That or Mr. Pac-Man, either the
Yeah.
Pac-Man games.
The
Or
thing is,
either one of those.
my collecting has slowed down because the prices of these things have pretty much gone through the roof.
Oh yeah.
I collected arcade games as early as 1986 when you could literally walk into a place and ask how much, and they just want you to get it the hell out of their bar.
Right.
Just load it
Right.
up and go.
Like
Get
take
that
it $5
junk
if
out
we
of here.
need it.
But now, if you are able to get a pinball machine in your house now, you can really feel like you've made it because the prices of the old ones are going up considerably.
Oh yeah.
I feel pretty lucky that I got in before the big inflation. I've got 11 in my house.
Oh wow. Oh my
And,
gosh.
it's I got in most of them before the prices went through the roof.
Well, that's good though.
Yeah, oh, it's
That's good.
great.
That's a
It's great.
dedication. Oh my gosh.
I've got 2 dogs that I love to death. I lost my first dog back in April, Zoe. I want to just tell her I love her. I'm gonna cry now.
Oh, I am so sorry
Um,
about that.
no, yeah, it was. She almost made it to 17, so there's really nothing to be sad
Whoa.
about. She was just my best friend. But so I'm very passionate about my pets.
Yeah.
I have tortoises. Um, I had I have 18 tortoises right now.
Oh my goodness.
The adults I have outside, there's 10 outside, and they got very active in the past 2 years. So I had 8 babies in the last year
Oh
that I found in the backyard. So the 8 babies are in the kitchen right now while the adults are still outside.
that is, oh my gosh. You're kind of like a regular Dr. Doolittle right there,
Oh,
huh?
yeah. I've invited some friends. I've offered some friends to adopt a tortoise, and so far, no one has shown serious interest in it, except one. One, they've gone as far as to say, what do I need to get to have to keep this baby at the house? So
Oh
we're
my
still
gosh.
working on one, but others I've offered them to, and they just said, I can't do it as much as they want it. They said they wanted a tortoise before they know I had tortoises to offer. And then when I offer, it's like, oh, wait, I could really get one. I don't know if I'm serious now.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. All right, going on to the number 8 question. What goals do you hope to accomplish in your acting, directing, or writing career?
One I feel like I've already accomplished, and that was making a film called Lars the Emo Kid. I wanted to do a film that actually meant something to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew this was it when my friend Paxton Gilmore wrote the script and I read it. I go, okay, this one is really important. It's a comedy, but it's a comedy that has a lot of heart to it and a lot of meaning and weight. I guess it doesn't sound like a comedy when I pitch it. It's about a high school kid it's about the fallout after a high school kid commits suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And how it breaks up friendships, and the best friend that's left behind was left alone because he was an outsider. So it's about changing friendships. It's about fitting in. It's about parents breaking up. All these things that 2 or 3 generations can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had the screening, the premiere screening, it was a sold out show, and everybody just raved about it. And I knew they were sincere. But one audience member came up to me and said, "Joe, this movie is going to save someone's life."
Mm-hmm.
Because of the suicide theme and how it does get better. Hang in there. People do care. Those are some of the subtext. That's some of the subtext in the story. Well, we went after the laugh because personally, I feel if you can get people to laugh, the message will be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
If if you make this preachy movie, people tune out. But if
Right.
you make them laugh and there's a message there, they remember it. And I can tell that from the reviews I get from the film. It's like, okay, I enjoyed it, but 24 hours later, I'm still thinking about it.
You got them right there.
Yeah.
You got them right there.
Right. So that was one goal that's accomplished. Of course, continuing to be able to do this is a goal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and being on a show like Stranger Things, like,
that's one hell of a goal. See,
yeah,
there's
it's like
small goals and there's a one hell of a goal.
Yeah, I didn't even have that show in my eyesights because there was just like, oh, there's not a chance, and it just came out of the blue.
That is
So
so
those
cool.
are, I still want to make. I feel like I still have a couple of important films
Mm-hmm.
ahead of me. One goal that I did accomplish in the last few years with the help of, at the time was a complete stranger, Jason Shellhorn, is as a kid, this was not I did not have my sights on filmmaking or acting as a career. I wanted to be a video game designer. And that just didn't pan out. I started to learn computer programming, but I just lost interest in it. But I grew up as a big video game player when Pac-Man and Space Invaders were popular. But a few years ago, I thought I had an idea. Okay, why not just ask this group of they're called homebrew programmers.
Mm-hmm.
They make games for obsolete systems like Atari and Television, ColecoVision, really old systems. There's still a group of people. There's still there's people out there that still make games for them that on their own. Like an independent filmmaker just makes this film. They have an idea for a game and they just make the game.
Oh, okay.
There's a world out there of homebrew programmers that are making new games for old systems. And I thought, okay, why not see if I can make this happen? And I got on one of the forums and posted what I wanted to do. And as I expected, a lot of people laughed and, oh yeah, sure, right. Why should we believe you? And why should we put our time and faith in you? Because we do that when someone comes to us as filmmakers and say, hey, I got a great idea for a story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, well, I've got 100 ideas for stories. Why should I listen to yours?
Right.
I don't say that to people, but that's what you think sometimes.
Right.
So I'm going into this forum of video game programmers who probably have 100 ideas for video games. And 2 people stepped up, and one was really serious, Jason Shellhorn. And we've made 3 Atari 2600 video games based on my films.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I was, some of the goals that just lifetime goals have already been accomplished.
That is awesome.
The 11-year-old me was just so excited when Jason said yes, and we actually got to design this game together and release it, and then people bought it and played it and liked it.
I am gonna need probably info on that game. I would like to check that out. I think that is so cool. I think you're probably the first person I've actually had on here that had their films turn into games. So that's a nice little bragging point right there.
Yes, it's, I've seen other independent filmmakers doing it after we did it. I don't know if they knew that we did it, but I feel like I did help start a trend. And one of the most rewarding parts of that was there's an arcade show that goes on here in Houston about this time every year. And Keith, the guy that runs it, Keith Christensen, invites industry guests to speak. And he had a guest, Ed Frey, who worked at Microsoft and was responsible for bringing the game Halo to market. I don't know if
gosh.
it's one of those. Halo is kind of a household name like Call of Duty.
Right.
Even non-gamers know these titles. Well, I went up and introduced myself to him just to say hello, not after anything other than to say, hey, I admire what you do. And I mentioned, a friend and we developed a couple of games based on my films, and Dead of Night was one of them. And he said, I actually know about that. He had heard about our game.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God, Joe.
again, it was very validating. I didn't expect anything from him. I just wanted to say hello, but I walked away from that on cloud nine. It's like, they're paying attention. Sometimes they're paying attention.
Yeah.
You don't know who gets wind of what you do and who you are.
Exactly. That is amazing. That is amazing. All right. We've got 2 more questions for you, Mr. Joe, before we wrap up our show here. Going on to number 9. If you could work with any actor for a film, who would you choose?
I really kind of had a fantasy that I'd get to work with Leslie Nielsen one day, but he's gone. So that obviously is not going to happen. I don't know, because there are a lot of actors that I really admire. Robert Downey Jr. comes to mind. That would be amazing to be able to do something with him.
Love it.
Yeah. Chris Helmsworth, Chris Pratt.
Ooh.
I adore Chris Pratt, and pre-Marvel, Parks and Recreation. And he just seems like a genuinely nice person, because sometimes they're nice on camera, they're nice for the media, but when you meet them and the camera's not rolling, they can be kind of rude. But someone like him just seems genuine.
Yes. Oh, I like those choices, especially Chris Pratt. But Robert Downey Jr., that's my favorite. I cannot wait moment. He's due for his Oscar moment anytime.
Oh, no
anytime.
kidding. No kidding.
Anytime. It's like he should have gotten it, at least my personal opinion, about 10 to 15 years ago. But hey, I digress. All righty. Coming up to the last question for you, Mr. Joe. What's been some of the most rewarding moments of your career?
I mentioned it already, and that was when an audience member came up to me after Lars the Emo Kid and said, this movie's going to save someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
That was very rewarding. My parents saying, this looks like a real movie, as silly as that sounds. And, it could come across as a little backhanded compliment, but it wasn't coming from them, but it was like rewarding. Anytime there's a good review, that's a small victory. It's rewarding. You take what you can get in this industry. Yeah,
I have to agree with that.
It's
I'm so glad.
Anytime I can, I've directed 4 feature films. I've premiered them all in a movie theater that, I rented the movie theater to show it, but just having grown up as a movie fan and loving going to the movies, and then walking in and seeing your work, whether it's something you directed or something you acted in, just seeing it up there on the big screen and see and witness people reacting to it the way you intended. It's really, really validating and rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that, you were able to, your movies are able to, affect people like that. Cause that's honestly, like you said, that's the most rewarding point.
And there's one more that just popped in my mind. Laughing Boy, my first feature film that I made back in 1998 and released in 2000. We played at a film festival in New York City. And I went out there to be a part of it. And there weren't, I think we got managed to get 40 people in the screening, and it was noon. I was allowed to pick the screening time, and I picked the afternoon. I picked noon because it was free. People didn't have to pay. I think they were charging $20 a head for the evening. And some friends happened to be out there at the same time, and we all met up, and they helped me promote the film in Times Square, passing out flyers. And that was really great, just being out there promoting a film that I made. But the rewarding part of it was there were two kids that went in. I'm talking like 12 or 13 years old. They went in to watch the film. And then after the film, I was talking to some people outside in the lobby, and I saw these two kids come out after the second movie had started, and they had no idea that the filmmaker was there and the producer was there. And they walk right by us going, "Man, I was hoping that would be Laughing Boy again."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Oh, awesome."
Best compliment ever.
I know. And you know it's real because they have no idea you're standing right there. They have no idea who you are.
Oh my God, I would have died of just pure happiness.
That was like 21 years ago, and
you still remember it to this day.
Good. Yeah.
Oh my God, I would have died of just pure happiness. Like, that is like, no one will be able to tell me anything. No one will be able to tell me a single thing. Like, I feel 100% validated right now. Like, no one can touch me. I'm on cloud 9. That's like a really great compliment. Oh my God.
It really, really was. It really.
Joe, I had such a great time to be able to speak with you. I am so excited for your big, I don't care if it's just one scene or one episode or not. I am excited for your big episode in Stranger Things coming up this summer. Like I said, the trailer just dropped today, so I'm super excited. As soon as I see the episode, yes, prepare to see your name on all my social medias because I'm going to brag. Yeah, did you see the episode?
Awesome.
Yeah, he was on my show.
Fingers crossed. I got to keep real about it. Fingers crossed the scene does not get cut.
Oh God, no.
It seems so pivotal in the transition from what happens to what the fallout from what happens that it can't. But
exactly,
you just don't know. And I don't want egg on my face if everyone watches it and goes, "Where was he?" That scene wasn't there.
Oh my gosh.
Like, so I'm excited, but I'm trying to stay real about it.
Of course.
Industry people know that this kind of thing happens, but family and friends that aren't in the business don't really understand,
Right.
Where were you? Why weren't you in it? You said you were in it.
Well, I'm going to pray and hope they don't cut that scene. Hopefully we get to see you and all of your Stranger Things glory. So we're putting in existence for you. But I really appreciate you coming onto the show, talking to me and my audience about your work, your story. I can't wait to see more of it. I appreciate you giving me your time today.
Thank you for giving me your time. This means a lot, and I really enjoyed it too.
I am so happy. I appreciate that. Of course, you guys know I want to tell you guys, make sure you guys follow Mr. Joe Grisaffi on all social medias. Make sure you check out his work and everything. And then, of course, make sure you guys stay tuned, regardless or not, stay tuned for, of course, a new episode and new seasons of Stranger Things, which is going to be in the summer of 2022. So make sure you guys stay, focus on that. But please give Mr. Joe support, love. We want to see more of his work, and make sure you guys just support him on social media. So, but I want to thank my amazing guest one more time, Mr. Joe Grisaffi, for being so wonderful and showing his work today. I'm super excited. We cannot wait to see what more he does. And he's just been an absolute joy. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, you guys know I've been your hostess of With the Mostest, Miss J. I will be back with another great episode of the J Lounge here soon. Until then, I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank Joe. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and I'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye.